wow. I'm just... Yeah, just, what a pile of dog shit. I'm not making a review for this movie. I'm just talking about how bad it is, because it's a bad movie. I don't think I can give reviews for a movie that I don't watch fully, and I think that's a really bad thing when you can't get through a movie. Clearly that just shows it's not for you or how bad the movie actually is. 20 minutes through this film, and I couldn't even watch the full thing. I had to start fast forwarding it. Usually I'm a very picky movie watcher, and what I mean by that is I don't go on my phone, I don't get sidetracked by anything. Even if the movie is like decent, mediocre at best, I'm invested. I have to watch it and I have to finish it. I'd say this is one of the few movies, if not the only movie, where I've never sat back and watched the film and just respected it for what it was. This movie is bad. Now, any worse than the Mortal Kombat movies that we got back in the 90s? No, maybe not, but in my opinion, the movies that you would watch back in the 90s and you would basically say, man, this movie was just cheese. This movie was just bad. It's cringy. It's hard to watch. Those movies back in the 90s that gave you those feelings and were known to be those types of movies, that's what I feel about this Mortal Kombat. For our generation, for the 2020s of films. In a way, I almost feel like, what am I complaining about here? We know there's no substance to this film. Mortal Kombat is simply made to just be an action film. That's all this is. There's nothing to grasp onto. There's nothing to emotionally connect with. I get it, but I can't help but pick at the awful flaws this movie has. The acting is awful. The dialogue is terrible. The story and the writing is abysmal. Even the actor choices for certain roles, I was not feeling it. Like, I didn't connect to any character in this movie, especially the main character. What a waste of time that was. I don't understand why they had to go with this random dude that we've never even heard of and had to make him a main character. I don't know why the cast as a whole couldn't just be a coalition of main characters. The only person I really liked in this movie was the guy who played Scorpion, and maybe that's me being a little biased because Scorpion's my favorite character, as Scorpion is many people's favorite character, and I'm blanking on his name right now, but the actor who played Scorpion is great in everything else he does, and he was great in this as well. He's the only saving grace about this movie, and unfortunately, you only see him at the very beginning and at the very end. Look, some movies just don't need to be made, and this was a movie that didn't need to be made. And I'm thinking, many people may say, why are you complaining, dude? You already just said it yourself that this is a movie that's just about action. It's literally about nothing else. And you may also say the games are the exact same way, and once again, you are right. But video games and movies are very different iterations of entertainment. With the video games, I feel like the craziness and the cheesiness of Mortal Kombat, it's capable of surviving in a video game format, but in a film, it's not, and I don't really know if you needed a Mortal Kombat movie. Even before this movie was being made, I was like, why do we need a movie? Just keep it as a video game. We've already seen that in the past, that the movies don't work for it, and a lot of us already felt like the movie wasn't gonna work in today's era, even with the CGI and special effects we have. Even the first trailer they dropped for it, I was immediately like, oh yeah, this doesn't look that good. And it happened to be true. It just wasn't a good movie. It's as simple as that. It's not a good movie. And it all comes back down to well, yes, because it's all about the action. And I gotta say, even the action wasn't really well done. There are very, very weird cuts in this movie. You know, like they'll be fighting in one position and then the next position they're in a completely different like body formation. You know, there's one scene with Sonya and Kano where they just got hopped out of a window while they're fighting, and they're on the ground like kind of on their knees trying to get up, and then the next scene cuts over and he's already got her in a headlock. The cinematography is awful, first of all, and I will also say the choreography for a lot of the fight scenes, I don't really know if they were all that well done. Like Cabal and Liu Kang, that wasn't really hitting home. I wasn't really feeling it all that much. The only good fight scenes were Scorpion and Sub-Zero at the beginning of the movie and at the end of the movie. Even the fight scene with the random main character who I've already forgot his first name, and Goro, like that even wasn't really the best of fights either. Very choppy, very inconsistent. The choreography just seemed to be lazy at times. And speaking of fighting, what in the world did Raiden do? Raiden did nothing that entire film. And I gotta be honest here, I don't even know if Raiden fought Shang Tsung, because I was fast forwarding this movie about the 30-minute mark and so forth. So I don't really know if I missed fight scenes, and if there are fight scenes that I did miss, I really don't even know if they're worth going back and looking at, because the fight scenes I did watch, which I'm pretty sure are the majority of them, they just weren't that good. I fast forwarded to the very end just to see how it would end, and they are obviously setting it up for a sequel, and something tells me it will get a sequel, because nowadays Hollywood is just filled with nonsensical garbage and there's absolutely no original ideas. So unfortunately, we probably will get a Mortal Kombat 2, but we don't need a Mortal Kombat 2 at all, especially if it's going to end up being what this Mortal Kombat was. Look, I was not walking into this movie expecting it to be a 10 out of 10. I wasn't expecting it to be a 9 or an 8 or even a 7 out of 10. I was expecting just to be able to walk in and at least appreciate certain things they did. I can't even do that. Other than Scorpion and certain Sub-Zero scenes, like, I'm not grasping onto this movie saying, you know what though? I respect them for this. At least they did this, or at least they did this. It's bad. It's a bad movie. Very, very, very bad. Even for people who have grown up with Mortal Kombat and love the nostalgia factor of Mortal Kombat, I just don't see how anyone could feel nostalgic about this movie. If you want to feel nostalgic about Mortal Kombat, just play the game, don't watch the movies. There are shows and movies that have terribly written dialogue, or dialogue that may be good but was used in the wrong scene or the wrong areas of the movie, or maybe there's dialogue that is really good or is delivered by the wrong person. There's so many different variations of how dialogue can unfortunately be delivered in the wrong way or the worst way possible. And this movie did that multiple times. We all know in Mortal Kombat there are tons of classical sayings. We have the "get over here" by Scorpion. We have the "finish him" when the fight ends. We have the "flawless victory" when the fight ends and you took no damage. Those are all used in this movie. There's a part where Kung Lao is fighting this winged woman creature, and he jumps on her, grabs his hat, and he throws it at the ground. And there's that very popular fatality he has where he takes the person by the arms or the legs and he pulls them across his buzzsaw hat and they get cut in half. Well, you know, there's a part where he's on this flying chick and he grinds her up against the ground and the hat's on the ground and he saws her up against the hat and she gets cut in half, and you see everything. You see all the blood and the gore and the bones and the brain and the meat. You see all that good stuff. And then right after, he takes this blood-soaked hat, puts it on, and he, you know, sharpens it like the game. And he goes like, "flawless victory." It's like, oh, I've never wanted to throw up so hard in my life. I considered throwing up, swallowing it, throwing up again, and then chucking it out into the ground. Then there's another scene where Liu Kang's fighting Cabal and he kicks him into this pit of liquid that I don't know what the hell it was. And Liu Kang just, you know, forms a fiery dragon and it attacks Cabal and burns him up. And then Liu Kang does this weird like hand formation. And then goes like, fatality. Now I just know where Warner Brothers spends its time instead of making movies that'll actually be good for the brain, that will actually make you think and be able to use real thought processing. You know, maybe I'm just in a bad mood today. Maybe I'm just really salty. Maybe I watched Mortal Kombat on a day I shouldn't have watched it. Maybe I should have watched Mortal Kombat if I don't know, was in a better mood. I don't know. But what I do know is that the movie is horseshit. When this movie first came out, I was thinking, it sucks that movie theaters aren't open. I'm not gonna be able to watch this film. You know, I have to wait till it hits streaming services, which can take months. But then as the months went on, I started realizing like, you know what, maybe it was just the hype of a new movie coming out. I don't even really want to see this movie. And months after this movie's reveal, I finally tried to give it a shot. Couldn't even get through the entire thing without fast forwarding or hopping on my phone and playing a game. Now I understand why I didn't see this movie. Now I understand why they don't make video game movies all that often, especially Mortal Kombat. Take some lessons, people. We all saw what happened to the Assassin's Creed film and why that film is never going to get a continuation. I mean, we'll have to see what happens with the Uncharted movie. I don't really know how that's gonna turn out. I'm very iffy on it. I'm very skeptical. And to be honest with you, I'm feeling a little more negative on it than I am positive. But there are video games out there that would deserve a live action adaptation. Mortal Kombat is just not one of them. So like I said, I'm not gonna give this movie a rating. I'm not gonna technically label this video as a review video for Mortal Kombat. In all fairness, it is a little unfair to rate a movie that you couldn't even sit from beginning to end and watch it through its entirety. But even though I'm not giving it a review, you can already tell how I feel about this film. There are tons of more things I can nitpick about this film and continue to tell you why I don't like it, but I'm not going to get into it. It's not worth it and it's a waste of time. So to avoid you from wasting your time, I would just say don't watch this movie if you haven't already. There are so many other pieces of entertainment out there that you can say, you know what, I didn't just waste my time, I actually learned something from this. Or it inspired me to do something. Do yourselves a favor and don't do what I did. Don't watch the film, watch something better. Or better yet, just play the video game, because at least you'll get enjoyment from playing the video game over watching whatever the hell I just watched. But anyways, that's it for this video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you like my content, and if you want to keep up to date with all the content I have coming out, it really does help me out tons. And just like usual, I will talk to you all very soon. And the next movie I talk about, if it's a new movie to me that I haven't seen, I'll make sure to at least get through the beginning to the end and give you an actual review. Alright, see ya.